How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the next lecture in which we're going to be talking about star versus ring network topologies. And so this is a topic that will be inevitably brought up as you start deploying, perhaps managing, or making changes to some of your networks. So I want you to thoroughly understand why you would want to choose star versus ring, because there's ultimately trade-offs and consequences on the network side, but also perhaps on the monetary side, depending on how you design some of those architectures. It will also dictate how you perhaps assign IP addresses for specific VLANs, into which we're going to get into in a different lecture. That being said, it is important to have a good idea as to what they offer, what they entail, and ultimately how do you set them up, which we will talk about in a different conversation. So first and foremost, I want to bring back a couple of concepts that we've discussed maybe on the fundamental side, but that is the fact that a lot of your devices are going to have two different Ethernet-based IP ports, and so they allow you to create what's called a ring or star topology. So very briefly, if you have, for example, a common switch, and this is we've discussed multiple times now, let's assume that you have a massive switch of 4x4, 16 total ports, you can start connecting different devices. So in this case, let's assume that that's going to be your PLC, you're going to have an HMI, you're going to have VFDs, and basically you're only utilizing one port on every device. And so in this case, you're connecting the network in a star topology. Again, a star being that you can basically have as many spokes as you'd like, but it creates the shape of the star. So your switch is going to be at the center, and that's going to connect to multiple devices. So what is a ring topology? And so again, if you've never seen this before, what you can do is, if you have a PLC, for example, so this is PLC, and in this case, I'm going to draw out the two ports. I'm going to have an HMI, once again, with the two ports. So this is going to be just a larger representation of the device. Let's assume that I have a VFD, and I'm going to have two of them, so VFD. This can also be in your point IO modules or remote IO. Basically, there's going to be a lot of different flexible configurations that you can deploy with what's called a ring. And so in this case, all we're doing is we're connecting from the HMI to the VFD, from the VFD to the second one, and we're going to connect to the PLC to the HMI. And as you can see, it basically forms a ring. Of course, if we need to, we can also add a switch, but that depends on the further extent of our architecture. And whenever we need to add an additional device, we can simply break the ring, add the device in, and that's going to continue and basically close the ring. So what are some of the advantages of one topology versus the other? Well, first and foremost, if we start with the basic star topology, this is going to be a lot simpler to implement. So simplicity is probably going to be the #1 advantage of the star topology. So you can simply bring in another device, you can just plug it into a port on that specific switch, and you're good to go. In the ring topology, as I've mentioned, you need to break the ring physically, right? So this means just removing the cable from this PLC, and if you want to attach a second PLC, you need to now reroute the cables just a little bit, but it is a little bit more troublesome. Well, in that case, the question comes up as to why you would create a ring versus a star topology. Well, once again, if we look back at the two diagrams, if for whatever reason this cable were to fail, and this could be a couple of different reasons. Of course, if somebody cuts the cable in two, it's no longer going to be able to send the signals, but also if there's problems with the traffic, perhaps it is next to a very large power line. So imagine that this is a 480 line that is causing this VFD to lose some of those signals. The VFD will intermittently fail, and thus not be able to receive whatever configuration or whatever parameter changes you are sending to it, or receiving or reading from the VFD. In this case, every single device on the ring has two different paths through which it can receive the packets on the quote-unquote ring. So in this case, let's assume that the PLC, one of the sides fails, right? So this cable fails, again, for the same reason or something else. It can still receive the packets via the other side, and thus be able to operate without any issues on the same ring. Of course, one of the features of the ring is that you will normally get a notification as to where the failure is, allowing you to better troubleshoot the system. And so then the question becomes, well, why don't we always use the ring? And the answer always or usually comes back to the simplicity, but also what it takes to implement the software configuration on this side. So typically you cannot simply take the PLC and out of the box plug in the two ports, just simply daisy chain everything else and assume that it will operate as a ring topology. Usually you have what's called a master that you will configure. So in this case, let's assume it is your PLC and you're going to navigate into RS Logix or Studio 5000 and you're going to configure the fact that it is in fact a ring. This can also be done in the world of Rockwell Automation or Allen Bradley in different tools. So you can use RS Logix, for example, for configuring your PLC, but you can also use RS Links for configuring some of your devices. You can use RS Networks for Ethernet IP, which will also allow you to configure some of the ring topology configurations. You can also use the dedicated, they have a specific DLR type of a scanner where you can see which devices are on that specific ring, and you can make certain changes to those devices. And ultimately, you can also do that via the switch management interface. So if you worked with Stratix switches in the past, you can also go to the either the CLI, so command line interface, or you can go to the web UI and be able to manage some of the ring topologies. So long story short, you will need quite a bit more knowledge setting up the ring configuration versus the star topology, in which all you need to do is assign the IP addresses, and at that point all of the configurations are going to be completely separate from the fact that you have created that specific VLAN. The other thing that I do want to mention, and you may have already guessed this, is that the advantage of your ring topology is that it requires a lot less switches, right? So if I wanted to create a cabinet which has 20 devices, I either need to purchase a switch that has 20 different ports, or if I would like to extend, I need to add another switch, and we've talked about this a little bit in a previous session. Whereas in this case, I don't necessarily need to add more switches. All I need to do is break the connection, add the device that I need to plug in, make sure that it has the right configuration. I then reroute the cable to the port, and then I rewrite the other side to wherever that ring was connected. And so it makes it a lot easier for larger segmentation or larger networks that are going to be accessible to the plant floor. Now, the counterpart or the counter argument to that same advantage is the fact that for you to access this via a normal device, so for example, if you have a large Cisco switch that wants to talk to this ring, you either need to configure both ports on the switch to be able to participate in the ring, or what you can add in case of Rockwell systems is an ETAP device, which has basically two ports for the ring and then one port for the external network, and you're going to basically route that specific ring and make it accessible to the plant side. You no longer have the option, if you have, for example, a small machine that operates on a ring, as we have discussed in the small machine configuration discussion, to have, for example, two different IP addresses on your PLC, one of which will be routed to the plant side, and then one of which will be routed to your machine network. So it is obviously something to pay attention to, and you're basically saving some of the investment on the switches, but you're then paying in terms of... And so I do want to close this lecture off with a little bit of personal experience. And as I've mentioned, I've talked to different plants, I've seen different environments, and I've seen both star and ring topologies being used in different manufacturing environments. So what is my preference? Well, the short answer, of course, it depends, right? And it depends on, I would say, number one, the teams that will maintain and support that specific equipment, because as I've mentioned, if anything at all fails, you will need to be able to configure the devices that need to be replaced. You will need to be able to monitor how the ring topology performs. And so if you don't have that capability, I would personally stick to the star topology as being the simpler utilization and method. As you start designing larger plants, you may have a ring topology that is nested inside of ring topologies, and you can even have redundant redundant networks and cables. And so if I can draw out, for example, a set of different switches, you can have a ring between each one of these switches that then extends to the plant floor. So for example, this is going to be a ring topology between 3 managed switches. And in this case, they're going to control different areas that will then connect to an ETAP module over here. And of course, you can do this in many different configurations, but just to illustrate a quick example how complex this can get. But ultimately, you have a ring within this specific area. You have your PLCs, your HMIs, and we'll discuss the different VLANs and how they're going to be configured in a different lecture. But I want you to just understand that as you're going through the management and layout of your network, you can make this incredibly complex for obviously the trade-off of being more resilient. But at the same time, if something were to fail and you were down for a longer period of time on the operation side, it makes it very difficult to justify even the investment and the configuration of such ring topologies. Therefore, I usually start and recommend people to start with the star. And if you have the need, if you have an environment that is failing, perhaps you're going to disconnect some of the machinery. A lot of times your machine here, it's not going to have a robust, for example, conduit that will host this RJ485 connector, but it's going to be a modular plug, right? So you're going to have some kind of a plug that allows you to disconnect the machine and then move it over in a different area of production. So maybe in that case, you need specific resiliency, and that's why you're doing maybe 2 cables here that will go through. And if one of them fails, the machine will still work, thus saving you time and obviously production money. In either case, if you have any questions as we progress through some of these topics, don't hesitate to reach out, don't hesitate to ask them in the comment section, and I will see you next time.